Good evening, everyone. This is a trial and error situation. I've been working several days trying to get my Christmas decoration together. Now, you're not going to see me in this video, but I'm going to take you around the room, and it's going to be a hit or miss when I pick up this camera and start walking with it. Just bear with me. This is what you call it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. I wanted you to see my table. Now, this isn't a table actually set for dinner. It just has one place setting. And I think it turned out right nice. The red Charger. I don't remember the name of the china. I should have checked on that first. But anyway, you see the pretty teapot. You see the candles all around. And I want to move the camera, so it's going to be a tricky situation. And I'm not sure it's going to work, but we're going to try. I'll move and you just close your eyes till I get there. Now, you see that big bowl? It's a huge bowl, and it's got a huge platter underneath. In that bowl are ornaments. Most of them are very old ornaments. Some of them that came, I think, from Germany. You see the little peacock. There's a bunch of grapes. It's hard to tell what they are, but anyway, I wanted to get a picture of my pretty ornaments. Since I'm not having a tree, I don't have room for a Christmas tree in my house. If I use it, then I have to let everything else go. But look at the pretty triple candle holder. That's one I bought recently when I went to Elkton to visit my sister. Went in a little Amish shop, and I paid $1.75 for that beautiful piece of candle holder with the 3 candles. You see my red candles? They're in my Fostoria candle holders. And back in the right corner is that huge, I guess you'd call it a cake stand, that was used in a wedding in 1905. It has a matching small stand like it. Inside that, you are going to see right above it a porcelain bird cage. Now, that bird cage wouldn't mean much to most people, but to me, it's a treasure. I've had it a long, long time, and I used it every Christmas. I would hang it from a hook, and one Christmas, it fell to the floor and shattered. I just couldn't give it up. No way was I going to give up my porcelain bird cage. I spent a full day of gluing the pieces together, and I can't tell you how many pieces there are. But if you looked closely, you wouldn't be able to tell where the cracks were. It was a very tedious job, but I was so pleased when I finished. Not worth a nickel to anybody else but me. And nobody will want it when I'm gone, because after all, it's a damaged piece of porcelain. But I think it's beautiful, and the little bird managed to make it out without being broken. In the corner to the left is the other little dish that matches the big cake stand, and it's filled with tiny ornaments. Now I want to move on up. Let's see if I can do this right. I'm not sure it's going to happen. Oh, there you go. Whoops. Let's see now. There you go. You see my chandelier? I've got birds hanging down from the chandelier. And those are the flickering candle lights. I love to use those at Christmas time. They just make everything look so warm and pleasant. And of course you can see my china cabinet behind it with all of my Fiesta ware in it. Now I'm going to turn to my right. There are my water pitchers over in the corner. I moved them from one corner to another, and I changed my plate rack with red square plate just for Christmas. Come on around. There, of course, you see my English Abbey cups and saucers. On around more. This is one of my favorite paintings. Now, this is what you call an old master. I ordered the print, had it glued to hardboard, and then I went to work glazing it and staining it and making it look like an original. It has no glass over it, but I love that picture. And of course my chickens on top and the little green chicken on the right is an antique. This cabinet holds all of my English Abbey and my Waterford crystal. You can get a fairly good view of that if I can keep my camera, whoops, and my poinsettia on the front. Now, first I want to tell you, before we go any farther, anything below the waist is not part of the decoration, because I've got about 12 big plastic tubs sitting in the middle of the floor. That's where I had my decorations stored in my storage closet in the basement. I brought all those boxes up here, put them around the room, and I'm going from box to box to box, picking out things that I need for my decorating. So if you see those boxes, they're not part of the decoration. They'll be leaving soon. I'm going to move on around. That's my bedroom door there. And I want to avoid the TV. But first, you've got to see something else. And I'm moving back a few feet so you can get a good view. I've got a lot of candles here. Now, give me time to get this camera set up here. Close your eyes, like I said, and we'll see if we can get this aimed at my credenza here. I'm moving on back because I want you to see the whole thing. All the candles. See my deer, I love deer. The two deer, block deer on the right, I bought at Hill & Myers in 1970. And they've always been my favorite deer, and the baby deer is in another display. You see another, whoops, another deer on the left, similar to these two. There are my tin soldiers. Jan called me, a couple weeks ago, and she says, Mom, I've been out in the barn going through some tubs, and I came across 3 big tin soldiers. Are they yours? I said, yes, they're mine, and I want them. I'd forgotten all about those tin soldiers. I bought them about 40 years ago. Just had to have them. One of those days when you do a little splurging, and I splurged that day, and I said, these tin soldiers are going home with me. I've got a few candles around, so I wanted you to see those. So I've got the glass deer. They're not glass, they're actually, I think, plexiglass. I'm not sure what they are. But I love the deer on each side of the tin soldiers. Now I'm going to make one more move over this way. See if I can get a good view here. I don't know if I can get to it or not. Give me a minute to get around the table. This is my old Hoosier cabinet. It's just the top part, but you can see my little Christmas tree, the jugs, and my little decorations. There's another deer under the tree. And over to the right here is my Milkmaid Buyer's Choice carolers. And I have a good, well, I should say a nice collection of Buyer's carolers, and I have treasured those. I reached a point I was getting too many, and I decided not to collect anymore. But the favorite of my Buyer's carolers is The Cries of London. Having been to London 3 or 4 times, I just fell in love with the city. And I decided of all of the Buyer's collections there are, The Cries of London was going to be my #1 choice. So she is part of that collection. Now, I'm going to have to walk around, and this is going to be tricky, but I'll see if I can get there. You just don't look on the floor. You just stay with me. Uh-oh. I'd like to get the TV out of the picture, but you know how it is. I have no place else to put my television. And I hate televisions in the living room. Okay, let's go to the left here. Oh, there's another. You see this picture? That's another one that I ordered the print. Had it glued onto hardboard, and I finished it. And if you look very close, it's got brush strokes on it. It has the antique look, and I love the painting itself. So, it may never be worth a lot of money, but it's worth a lot to me because it's among my favorite things in my whole house. All right, I'm trying to get around the footstool, on around, and you've seen this before. But it, too, I've got a lot of favorite things, as you can tell. This is my Occupied Japan tomato ware. There's the apple design and the orange. You can see the orange on the top shelf, and the apple is on the middle shelf, and the tomato is on the bottom shelf. Now, at the top is my Home Sweet Home counted cross stitch. Jan did that for me years ago. I never thought my daughter would be artistic, but she did a beautiful job. And I have a small collection of oil lamps. One of those lamps belonged to my mother when she used to quilt in her younger days. She used the oil lamp. The one on the right, the tall one on the right, would be the one she used. Now, I thought my red would make a nice Christmassy scene. Now, here we go. I've got something else to show you. And I've got to get way back. I hope I'm not making you dizzy, because it kind of makes me dizzy. Okay, take a look. Here are a few of my buyers' carolers. Let me describe some of this to you. Oh, and by the way, I forgot to turn the lamp post on. And I would go over and do that, but you'd see how I look. The little lamp post on each end lights up. And I knew I'd missed something. So on the left here is a little red sleigh. You see the tiny deer beside the sleigh? It goes with the first set of flock deer that I showed you. It's the baby. In front of that little sleigh is a horse. Now that horse belonged to my grandsons at one time. That's been 30 years ago, I guess. And if you press the saddle, the horse neighs. Every year it has worked. This year I got it out to see if it would neigh, and it didn't work. So I don't know if there's some way I can get inside and put a new battery in or not, but that's one of my favorite things too. You see the old woman with the Christmas packages across her back. Next to her is the little paper boy. And on behind the little bench is the little bugle boy. And behind him is the flower lady. These are all Cries of London. The apple lady, which has always been valued as the most wanted buyer's caroler, is one I just happened to buy in 1991. At that time, I was not collecting Cries of London. I bought her just because I liked her, and she had the little bench with her and a little basket of apples. I learned later that it was the one that all collectors were seeking, and they eventually did a second apple lady, but it just doesn't take the place of the first one. Behind the apple lady is the doll lady. She's got a basket full of dolls that she has made. Now I want you to note the centerpiece. The center is a gazebo. It's a gazebo I bought and decided I would decorate it. Now, I did a tree the size of the green tree on the left. It is covered in jewelry, earrings, all kinds of rhinestones, every little thing that you can make a tree ornament, that it is totally covered. Probably has about 200, at least 200 small pieces of jewelry on it. And inside are lights. Now I'm going to move this camera forward so that you don't see me, but you will see my hand. Just hang on there. See the little dog and the cat? All right, I'm going to open the door. And let's see if we can get the upper door. That shows you the inside of the gazebo and all of the tiny pieces of jewelry that make the Christmas ornaments. Around the tree are tiny miniature Christmas packages. There's a mailbox, big red mailbox. There's cats and dogs. You have to get right up to it very close to see these things. So I'm going to pull my camera back so that we continue the movement. Hang on. Whoa. Yeah, I knew I'd do something like that. Okay, we're over to the right. See my little chimney? Sometimes I have fake fire in it when I really want to decorate. There are my snowmen. One back, the man in the red jacket is the gingerbread man. Beside him, the man with the red scarf is the fruit vendor. Beside him, little boy has a basket, and the other one, I think, oh, that's the, it's a nut, you know, the nut. I forgot the name of the nuts, you know, that they always roasting at Christmas time. But take a look at Lassie. Lassie is probably at least 50 years old. Lassie's legs move, his head moves. He's one of those things that you just can't part with. And the tiny birds, see the tiny birds on the ground eating their seeds. That's why I like the Byers carolers. You can do so much with them. You can create any kind of scene, and I've done scenes with a fireplace in the background. I could tell you the story about that, but I'd only have to show you the scene. So, that gives you the overall look of, that's about half of the Byers Carolers collection. It makes a nice little scene, and this is right in front of my window on the long 6-foot credenza. Works beautifully. On around, I'm bumping into something. This is my corner cupboard I bought. Oh golly, I don't know. It was when I moved from Lexington to Corbin. I moved into a house with a dining room, and it had the perfect corner for a cherry corner cupboard. So that was my first purchase when I moved into my new house. These two pictures, my sister gave me two prints from an old calendar. If you remember when the insurance companies used to give these big calendars that had beautiful pictures on page month after month. Well, this calendar happened to be dated 1907. I'm going to have to set this down. There we go. So it'll hold still. I didn't get it, did I? Okay, one more time. Anyway, the print at the top is called The Gossips. The one at the bottom is The Future. The lady is reading the young girl's future from tea leaves in her palm. Okay. Do you like this picture? Let me see if I can get this back so that it gets the whole picture. I'm going to move it a little bit. There we go. I was in a Goodwill store. The man was putting all these frames and mirrors in a big bin, and I saw him pull one up and start to put it in the bin, and I said, "Hold it, I want that picture." Well, this was the picture he had. I fell in love with it immediately. You can see the size of it. It's a good size picture. I don't know if it's a print or if it's an original, but I got the picture for $15, and I think I got a good deal there. It's my style, definitely my style. And I have not been able to get it checked to see. I can tell on the back it's an old frame, which tells me maybe the picture itself is old too. Who knows, maybe I've got a Renoir or something like that, but they can find out when I'm gone if it's worth any money. Now look down below. You see 2 or 3 of my little birds. I love my birds. Those are part of my Independence Ironstone collection. Those 3 teapots. No, that's a coffee pot. Teapot, let's see, I think the teapot is down below. Yes, okay. Teapot is on the right. There's my water pitcher on the left. That's the one that I researched it and found out that it was made after 1885. I love that. Now, take a look at the bench that those items are on. That's an old farm bucket bench. That's what it was called. You can tell it's handmade. I bought that 38, 40 years ago in Tennessee. Fell in love with it immediately. Anything that has that handmade country look, I like it. So it's a jewel to me, and you can't tell too much about it, but the right end looks just like the left end. So anyway, what they did, they had their 3-gallon milk bottles. They looked like a regular milk bottle, but they held a 3-gallon. And when they would fill up those bottles, they would set them on the bucket bench. So that's what you see there. The next picture, I'm going to have to do a little moving around again. This is something I want you to get a good view of. Let me see. See what I can do here. All right. You see that? That's my nativity. Isn't it beautiful? Now, I just bought that recently, and when I saw it, I knew it was coming home with me. Some of the little animals are some I already had, and I just placed them around. But it's one of the prettiest nativity scenes I've seen, and it was all together. I didn't have to put anything together, didn't have to gather up the little animals, the sheep and the cows. So I really, really am glad I got hold of a nice nativity scene. Every Christmas display should have a nativity. So below that is another of my china cabinet. I have 2 just alike. You saw the other one that had my English Abbey in it. This one is filled with Pastoria. You can see my cake stand on the bottom shelf. You can't, and there's a set of china inside also. So anyway, we'll move on over. You see the large picture? It's one just like the others I showed you. And funny thing was, now I did this picture, I guess, 30 years ago, maybe 35. I forgot all about it. My sister next to me moved into my mother's house after she died. I was there not long ago, and she said, I want to get this level so that it doesn't wiggle. I'm tired of you seeing it wiggle. Oh, anyway, okay. the two girls. I had it put on hardboard too, and it took me a while to do the glazing and the staining and the brush strokes. But when I went to my sister's house, and she came out of the bedroom carrying that big print. It wasn't framed. She said, "Pat, this is what I found behind Mama's bed." And I said, "Oh gosh, I want that." She said, "No, you can't have it. I'm keeping it." And I said, "Let me look at it." I looked at it real close, and I started rubbing my hand over the print, and I said, "That is my picture. I did that about 35 years ago, finished it. You have to let me take it home with me." Well, she agreed, and I did. Now, the picture isn't worth anything to anybody else but me. But I'm going to tell you this. That frame cost a lot of money. So when I'm gone, I want whoever get this picture to know they may not care much for the picture, but they better hang on to that picture frame because it cost me a bundle. And so you see I've made the rounds. I've shown you everything so far that I have done in decorating. Now, if you'll just come and help me clean up the mess in the middle of the floor, I'll fix you a cup of hot cider. And I do pretty good with the hot cider. Take a close look at this. I want you to see it up close. I just think it's beautiful. This way you can get a long look at it. Of course, you can see all those little twinkle lights that I bought to stick everywhere I could. So, I'm going to see if I can get a close-up of this little scene right here on the table. It's a house. And those two little green trees are spode. And the light changed color. You notice the one on the right. Watch how it changes. You'll see another color. See the blue. I don't know if that's blue or green. But the lights, there's your red lights. A couple of years ago, I spotted those at Home Goods. And I bought all they had and gave them to a friend for Christmas. I really like things like that. So, I'm going to leave you with having seen some of my decorations. I'm not a decorator, but I do love tinkering with things, making things. And I'll put this back over here on my soon-to-be famous painting. I'll let you know if it's worth $25,000. I know you'll want me to tell you that. So, that's my show for today. You've seen how I live, where I live, and I've got a lot of clutter. My mother couldn't tolerate all this clutter. My sisters can't tolerate all this clutter, but I love it. And I hope you have enjoyed what you've seen. I hope you too are working on your own Christmas decorations, but in doing so, you are making memories. When you pick up an ornament, you'll remember where you bought it or who gave it to you. So many people love decorating their Christmas trees because every ornament on the tree means something to them. And that's good. That's very good. So, let me know what you think. It's been a few days since I put a story on, but I tell you, I will be telling 1 or 2 Christmas stories. They're family stories, just like my Thanksgiving story was. I hope all of you are getting ready for Christmas, getting ready in the right spirit, and can be with family. So, thank you very much for watching this show, and definitely make comment. Tell me if there's anything that appealed to you, or tell me some things about your own decorating and your collection. I love to hear from you, and thanks very much. Good night.